change is starting to happen. I know it's probably too early. You'd say it's too early to declare victory. But at least the protection of women's sport now is very much on the agenda.
Yes, I agree. You just mentioned rugby union and rugby league. I welcome those decisions. We had the decision from FINA, the world governing body for swimming, British triathlon as well. So I think the tide is turning, but it's very much not over. You know, I've seen just today on Twitter the backlash that the two rugby boards have faced. And there's just so much lack of understanding about sport and about the differences in physical advantages that males have over females. So there's still a long way to go, but we're making some progress.
Well, indeed, and the likes of you and Sharon Davies have been so amazing to shine a light on this issue, because I know from having covered it closely, one of the terrible things is, Mara, is that you are immediately, because the same things happened to me, you're immediately branded transphobic or this term TERF.
Yeah.
And look, I don't care. They can say whatever they want about me. And I know Sharon Davies is very brave on this too, and so are you. But the issue is it actually puts a lot of people off from speaking out because they're so worried about being termed that.
Yeah, the term transphobic really has lost all meaning. It's hurled at anybody who challenges the dogma of gender identity ideology. And if you challenge them what they actually mean, you know, they can't come up with anything. No. So, you know, people can call me a transphobe all they want. I will continue to defend women's sport for people born female only, because without that, we no longer have women's sport. What we would have is mixed sport and men's sport. We all know that females will never be able to compete in the male category because of the massive differences. So, yeah, people like myself and Sharon, we will continue to speak up. And I would encourage others to speak as well, because, you know, when I've seen polls on this issue, the vast majority of the general public, I've seen 3 Twitter polls, 97% agreed that males should not be in women's sport.
Do you know one thing I found fascinating? Because obviously the moment with the Lionesses was brilliant. Of course it was. And it was just a beautiful moment for the country. But I have to admit, I found it very ironic when you had all of these folk who refused to define what a woman was, Rishi Sunak, Keir Starmer, weren't even prepared to say, you know, whether a woman could have a penis or not. All of a sudden, they were championing this team as great models for young girls and for their daughters. But actually, all it would take is one of those 22 players on the pitch to be born a biological male, and the whole game might as well have been over. And that's how finely balanced this debate is.
Yeah, I mean, I completely share your concern about how the politicians reacted. I mean, particularly people like Nicola Sturgeon, who's pushing self-ID in Scotland. There she is, you know, praising the women when she can't even define what a woman is. You know, same for Keir Starmer. And, yeah, another question I think people need to ask themselves is, supposing they watched that match and there was a male on the pitch, how would they feel about that? If, for example, the German goalkeeper had been male, how would they feel about that, regardless of the result? You know, even if England still won, would they feel that was okay? You know, one of the most prominent trans women footballers in the UK is Blair Hamilton, who plays in goal. And men are, on average, taller than females, and height matters massively in goal. Men, on average, have longer arms, longer legs than females. So, you know, I encourage your viewers to just ask themselves, how would I feel if Germany had fielded a trans woman, somebody born male, in a women's European Cup Championship final?
We would have thought it was unfair. And look, since this issue has... I mean, I've always been a big champion of women's sport, and particularly netball is the sport that I support, and it's exactly the same as football, where you could have one of the 7 team members and the whole game would be destroyed. So, again, that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this personally. But I've looked into the science a lot over these past few months. And even the woke scientists, right, who want to be able to say, oh, no, it's OK, even they have now had to admit that years of hormone treatment, even 5 years of hormone treatment, doesn't go anywhere near as far as it needs to overturn male puberty and the changes of male puberty. And so it's sad. Of course this is sad. And, you know, I feel sorry for Leah Thomas. You know, it was horrible watching the interview with her, but it's not fair.
Yeah, you know, we've got into this. The problem is we've got into the debate about testosterone levels in adult males. Can this undo male advantage? And this is like trying to unboil an egg. It does not remove advantage. Males acquire advantage through puberty, which takes several years, driven by testosterone. Once they're an adult, you cannot undo those advantages. So it's completely barking up the wrong tree. What we have to have is women's sport for people born female. FINA have said, right, women's sport for people who have not gone through male puberty, which effectively is kind of the same thing. So, yeah, I hope that the tide is now turning and more federations and governing bodies will find their spines and stand up for female-only sport.